Alright guys, welcome back to the GSTL. Today is Venus. If you guys haven't heard the song Hurricane Venus by Boa, you should look it up on YouTube right now. It's a good song.
But before looking up songs on YouTube, you should be checking out Team Liquid, Well Played, all the community sites, SC Reddit. Talk about this match. Talk about it on Twitter. This is the first foreign team playing in the GSTL. They're doing a great job so far. It's 1-1. Sheth took out Tiger on Metalopolis and is now going to try to take out StarTale Curious on Xel'Naga Fortress.
Yep, the map is loading. Let's find out who's going to take the lead. Will it be FXO or will it be StarTale? Let's find out on Xel'Naga Fortress. Alright, up here at the top left, did just give FXOpen a point. A great, well-mannered Zerg. He is
FXO Sheth.
Very mannered guy, very friendly.
Yeah, he's really known for his manners.
But also very excited to be in Korea.
Indeed he is. His opponent on the team StarTale, a strong Zerg player in Code S. He is no other
StarTale Curious.
whenever that happens in the intros, I just like totally botch it and it's hilarious. I'm sure everyone loves it. Someone just told me it was actually in Code A, but the results said otherwise, so that's a little conflicting information there. But
are you listening to the voices in your head again?
So it looks like he is actually in Code A, so sorry about that, guys. Anyways, this is going to be a ZVZ. The map is Xel'Naga Fortress, which is a relatively small map. It's not as small as a map like Steps of War or Blistering Sands by any means, but it's a relatively small map. Now, it looks like right off the bat, we are going to see a gas from Curious, and it looks like Sheth plans on going for a fast expand, which is relatively risky in ZVZ, but if you're comfortable with it, if you're confident doing it, it can be quite good. It kind of forces your opponent to react in a certain way as an aggressive move, even though normally taking an expansion is kind of a passive move, and this matchup taking it's an aggressive move.
This is also a 3-player map, and StarTale Curious is actually scouting in the right area. He's going to scout this expansion immediately and know exactly what's going on.
Yep, and that will actually trigger Sheth to realize that his opponent's in the south position, based on the way the Overlord came. Now remember, if you go for a fast expand like this, it forces your opponent to make a Baneling Nest in most cases, because even if you don't mine from that expansion, you have a lot more production. You can make a ton more Zerglings, and if your opponent doesn't prepare for that possibility, he can just get overrun by Speedlings. And there's the gas going down for Sheth. And there's that Baneling Nest that I was talking about. Yep. You just have to, if you see a hatch first, you just have to make it. Otherwise, you will get overrun by Speedlings and lose. You don't even necessarily have to use it, but it becomes a necessity.
And that is the untalked about resource in ZVZ that is very, very important, is your larva count. If you have the production capabilities over your opponent, you can do a lot of other options that your opponent can't. And it's not just about the minerals or the gas that you each have, it's about how much you can produce.
Yeah, you could compare it to Warp Gate in PvP. It's like, how many cooldowns do you have? Having an extra hatchery is like having a lot more cooldowns available to you. You can make more units. If you're kind of iffy about making drones or units, if you have 2 hatcheries, you can be a little more flaky about it. You can be like, oh, I want 3 drones and 2 roaches, for example. Whereas if you only have 1 hatchery, you just don't have as many options.
So these Banelings are coming in. He will be able to take out the Zerglings quite easily if he does get into a large engagement. But
Sheth is going to see those, it looks like, and a few Zerglings right off the bat.
That is not what Sheth wanted to have happen quite yet. He is going to try to take out a few more of the Banelings before they get to the mineral line. However, he is losing a lot of these Zerglings. Last Baneling is on the way, but the Queen is going to be able to stop it. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, that is not good for Sheth at all.
He's starting to lose a lot of drones here. And several drones do fall. A lot of those weakened by that first initial Baneling hit. And it looks like these Zerglings will be cleaned up. They may target down just 1 more drone. Does get that drone, and that's going to be it for that little attack. Right now, as far as workers go, 16 workers for Curious to just 11 of Sheth. But remember, Sheth has a lot more production. He's already got a few roaches out. Most likely he's going to kind of drone up right now. Now that he has the roaches to defend, he feels pretty comfortable.
Yeah, that is not the opening that Sheth really wanted to have happen in this game, but it's really not that bad. Their supplies are exactly even. Sheth does have an expansion. Curious is just starting to go up now. So a little bit behind right now, but not enough to be a game changer. Not enough to be an Idra GG quite yet.
I like that. That's a good point. Now, Sheth is still mining gas with just 1 harvester, so it looks like he just wants to drone up. And it looks like a little bit of scouting information going to be had here.
He does get the Zergling all the way in. He does see he did see the Baneling Nest and the Zergling pool, so...
Yeah, basically he was able to see how many drones his opponent had and how many are going to transfer over to that hatchery. It was very important information he wanted to have. And he also saw a glimpse of how many Zerglings his opponent had. Now this is going to be a really scary time for Sheth here because so many Zerglings are running in and they're going to be able to surround these roaches actually. That's not what Sheth wanted to have happen. Even the Queen going to go down here. He's trying to micro those roaches back. Good control by Sheth, but will it be enough? There are so many Zerglings. More reinforcing roaches come down though. And I think it might have been better for Curious to actually target down those drones initially.
He is going to get 3 Zerglings into the main base of Sheth. He's not going to be able to do any serious damage right here. He might be able to, yes, he does get 1 drone, but nothing too significant. That Queen going down was a little bit bigger though, as we were talking about with the second hatchery advantage of having the extra larva. The Queens give you a huge advantage to get extra larva as well.
Exactly.
So Sheth now down 3 drones to, he's down 20 drones to 24 drones. Not too big, but again, he is down a Queen as well.
Yeah, being down the Queen is really huge, but importantly, he already has 8 roaches out, and that's really huge because in ZVZ, when you have those roaches out, those are the important unit, the core unit of your army, and getting the roaches out, once both players have speed, if you have more roaches than your opponent, there's almost nothing you can do about it unless he has like 4 times as many Zerglings as you have roaches or more. If he uses Speedling, he's going to try to run in here. Sheth does, of course, chase them away. Smartly keeps roaches at his ramp so no Speedlings can run by. Really nice placement there by Sheth. So this is a really even game at this point. Supplies close, worker count's pretty close, but Sheth having that higher roach count is pretty important.
And he is going to move out with a small force right here. He's leaving a few at home to be able to defend, make sure the Zerglings can't run by into the main. But he's going to try to do a little poke and put Curious back on the back foot for a little bit.
And here comes a little lean counterattack by Curious, and this is what I'm talking about. Until you have speed, it's very, very difficult to deal with this stuff with just roaches, so he doesn't have speed. It's very difficult for him to come home and defend this, and Curious can do almost whatever he wants. Looks like Sheth is going to be very aggressive during this. Actually decides to turn home, losing a lot of drones here to those Speedlings. Not really able to keep up with them. Sheth's Zerg speed is only halfway done right now. It's very, very important to get that out. He wanted to get those roaches out earlier because his opponent had a much higher Zergling count, but it is important to get that speed.
And that little attack did give StarTale Curious quite a supply advantage. He is up by 8 supply right now. He is supply blocked temporarily, but he's going to be bringing those Overlords in quite soon, so he should be fine.
Yep, right now an Evolution Chamber is going up for Curious. If you get +1 roach weapons, or missile attack I should say, you can of course full battle going on here in the middle. And if you have Zergling speed, you can just outmaneuver Zergling so well, and it's just almost impossible for Sheth to use those Zerglings, so it does lose all of them. But as I was saying, if you get +1 weapons for your missile attacks, that means that Roach's 2-shot Zerglings instead of 3-shot. That's a huge, significant upgrade in this matchup. Not only that, but they beat your opponent's Roaches much faster as well. So right now, 13 roaches for Curious to 9 roaches of Sheth, and Sheth actually having a 3-drone lead right now.
He did get the drone lead, but as you were talking about before, the roach lead is what's really important right now, and StarTale Curious is up by 8 roaches at the moment.
A lot of those roaches did just pop out, and he is going to have +1 a lot faster than Sheth does. He has started it earlier. Actually, I take it back. He had that Evolution Chamber for a while, but didn't quite use it yet. So this is a really tense moment. Sheth very behind in the roach count. That's so important. But can he catch up in upgrades? Can he do something risky to put himself back in this?
And he is getting a lot of Zerglings right now. Hopefully we'll be able to use those to surround and kill all this huge roach army that's coming through from Curious.
Yeah, the thing that's going to be the next decision that these players make is, when do I get my lair? And in fact, right now, just as I said that, Sheth was like, I'm getting it right now. So he made it. He wants to get that roach speed because that allows him to micro his roaches much easier. He can split them up. He can stutter step micro forward. A little bit of an engagement there in the middle. But as I was saying, that lair timing very important for roach speed. Also for +2, but that doesn't come into play as much at this timing. There's a +1, of course, just about halfway done for these players. And Carapace being researched for Curious right now. He did get a 2nd Evolution Chamber, so he's really going heavy on those upgrades, realizing I've got a much higher roach count than you. I can afford to invest in these upgrades.
And that Carapace upgrade is going to cancel out the +1 of Sheth, so it's going to be like Sheth has 0-0 versus +1 attack of Curious.
Yeah, essentially. And right now, Curious is starting to get ahead in supply. Overlord does come in here and see that lair timing. That's a very specific Overlord scout checking for just that. Even some Speedling's going to run into Sheth's natural. So he sees exactly everything. He ran into the natural with some Zerglings and saw how many roaches Sheth had, knows the lair timing, knows that he only has 1 Evolution Chamber. Tons of information just given to Curious.
Yeah, that was a beautiful timing by Curious.
Now, right now, back at Curious's base. His roach count is growing steadily higher than Sheth's. Right now it's 27 roaches to 17. Remember, his roach upgrades are going to be much better. His +1 is just finishing. Now Sheth's +1 is a little bit, was done a little bit faster, but it's not going to really come into play here because of course now both of them are done. But that Carapace is starting to get closer to being finished, and that's going to be very important. Roach speed on the way for both players, pretty close, but Curious is getting Burrow.
Curious is getting Burrow, but also Sheth did have a few Zerglings at the third of Curious. He did delay by quite a bit. He chased that drone back. Unfortunately, it didn't cause a cancel at all. It was just a little scouting mishap.
All right, so this is really interesting. Both of these players are going to take third bases here. Sheth has a lower roach count, but he is getting an infestation pit, and that can kind of even things out if you get some infestors out. But infestors are a huge, huge investment at this timing. If he makes the infestors right now and he just tries to wait with them, he can just lose to an attack by Curious. It looks like that hatchery is forced to cancel. Nice move there by Sheth.
Not only does he force the cancel, he does pull the army back of Curious, so he does buy himself a little bit more time if he doesn't want to be fighting quite yet.
Right now, roach speed is going to finish here for Sheth a little bit earlier. He started that pathogen glands upgrade, so most likely he's going to make those infestors as that finishes, so he doesn't have to wait at all for those fungals. Remember, his third base was not forced to cancel, so he's got that advantage over his opponent as well. So Sheth just trying to drag this game out a little bit longer and utilize all of his advantages that he can try to latch onto from this time advantage.
That is true, but there is a scary number of roaches coming across the middle of the map that you guys just saw a little bit. There is going to be an engagement very soon going on at the third of Sheth. Here it goes. Some of the roaches are shooting the expansion of Sheth. They're not in the battle. That does give Sheth a slight lead right in the beginning, but he is forced to run away from this much larger army.
Yeah, that was actually a huge advantage for Sheth. He, of course, didn't cancel that hatchery, so he's going to lose those minerals, but smartly did attack right when his opponent was focusing down the hatchery, so he got a lot of free shots off. Doesn't have any infestors out just yet, and in fact, does actually have just one infestor. Doesn't have enough for a fungal, though. He's not really going to be able to use it. This is pretty close. The concave is better for Curious right now. He's got a lot more roaches. Sheth could be in trouble. And more and more reinforcing roaches coming in for Curious. Things are looking really bad for Sheth here. Starter step micros forward. This could be the end. Sheth just does not have any fungals yet. And that infestor does pop. He's forced to pull drones off the line now. And things are looking bad. It's now 37 roaches to 13. Sheth may be taken out here. Unfortunately for him, he just didn't have that roach count where it needed to be.
Yeah, this is very unfortunate. This army is quite large. There is not going to be much that Sheth can pull out to defend, and he is forced to GG.
GG with a trademark smiley.
He's a very manner guy.
And actually, what's going to happen next, I'll tell you guys a little bit about it. You're going to see our new player, Haksu, come out. He has been chosen by FXO to come out here. If Sheth lost this specific match, Haksu's PvZ is really, really good.
And Haksu is his Korean actual name.
Right, yes.
He was previously known as Twilight Foyu in StarCraft 2, and before that he was known as Secret.
Yep.
I'm not sure what StarCraft 1 team he played on, but he did do
Height
quite well.
Sparkies.
Height Sparkies, ooh.
And he coached for them as well. He's done a lot of coaching work for Foyu, so he's a really great coach. He's came into our team, he's staying with us at the GOM house, and he's given us so many tips, and he is going to be taking on our next point. I know I spoiled it for you guys, but I want to talk a little bit about it because he's some people consider him to be the ace of our team, the best player on our team, but we don't really look at it that way. We look at it as everyone has specific roles, and this one is going to be Oz. And there's a shot of him there now, smiling at the camera, talking to Moonin and T-Gun, and he's actually a really nice guy. You guys will see more of him in interviews and streams and whatnot in the future, but he is going to come out here to take on Curious, who played a pretty good game last game, I have to say.
He did. Those Baneling control in the beginning of the game was really what gave him the edge right early on. He was able to take out a lot of the Zerglings, and from there move in to do a lot of damage to the economy of Sheth.
He reacted immediately, saw the hatch first, and eventually was like, okay, this happens. This is common in ZVZ. If you go hatch first, I get a Baneling nest. I put on some aggression. You have to defend. Is almost textbook from the start. But what was different was he split his Banelings very nicely. He actually had some excellent control. He split them up and took out Zerglings not in ones. You know, sometimes you see the Banelings get caught in weird spots where they only kill one Zergling. He actually forced it, so Sheth lost a lot more Zerglings, and then he just kept sending in Speedlings. He always knew everything that was going on. That is huge.
And that overload timing right at the end as well, to know the exact layer timing. But Sheth was quite, or does look quite satisfied with his performance. He did go 1-1 against StarTale, one of the best Korean teams, if I do say so myself.
They are quite good, and there is the man himself, FXO Oz Haksu. And he is so excited to play for FXO.
Yeah, he's one of the first Koreans to move on to a foreign team.
That's true.
He is quite excited about that. It does give him a lot of potential that he wouldn't get on a Korean team.
You'll be seeing a lot of him in foreign events, like MLG, for example, maybe DreamHack. Events like that he'll be able to go to now that he's part of our team.
And it's something that's very interesting because in StarCraft 1 esports, it was completely unheard of that a player would want to go to foreign tournaments. Korea was where it's at. But with StarCraft 2, the entire esport is expanding globally, like with the global StarCraft League. And it's really encouraging these players to get out. GSL is even encouraging them to go further with things like the MLG exchange program, where we're trying to get Koreans to the foreign tournament and foreign tournament winners to Korea to show that, well, hopefully show that foreigners can compete, and they should really be trying a lot harder than they are right now.
Exactly. It's great to have foreign teams over here like FXO. You can see how the Koreans practice. You can practice on the Korean ladder. You can get that mentality of living in a team house, there being rules. You're not just sitting in your home laddering and then kind of calling up your friend on Skype and saying, hey, we should practice together. It's a little bit different. He's right behind you. You can just wheel around in your wheelie chair and say, hey, let's practice together. FXO for the win. FXO rules, just like NOS rules. NOS fan in the audience likes NOS and FXO.
Not too bad things to choose.
So Curious was previously on FOU, I believe, or is that what the... Oh, someone was telling me that in my ear.
You gotta stop listening to the voices in your head.
I gotta stop listening to those voices in my head. But yeah, obviously Oz is a former FOU player. We already mentioned that earlier. But he's got a lot of potential, I think, and that's why we didn't just pick him because he's a Korean. We interviewed him, we came over to the house, and we had him play some games, and he's been playing with our team for a while. And he's just a great asset to our team. We love the guy. We take him out to eat all the time. He's so friendly. His English is actually improving every day. And his English, when we first got him, we thought his English was bad, and we were like, he doesn't speak much English at all, but turns out he actually can almost understand everything you're saying.
Yeah, he's also been studying every night. He practices StarCraft. He teaches you guys as much as he can, coaches you in whatever ways. And then at night, he goes home and studies.
Yep.
Very hardworking guy, very great-mannered person. So it's going to be interesting to see how he takes the Korean practice regime and brings it to foreign
esports.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm really excited. Well, Torch, our next map is going to be Tal'Darim Altar. So it's a map that he actually feels really comfortable with. I've actually coached him on this map a lot. He plays on it. His PvZ on this map is really strong. He likes the fast expand here, and he controls the mid game. That's the most important thing about Oz's strategies and all of his matchups, and that's his biggest strength. It's the mid game. The mid game is where he really shines. He knows exactly when you can make that Twilight Council. He knows. He's like, is it time for third base? When do I tech? When do I get those upgrades? He never has to think about that. He just knows. And he knows the mid game so well. The mid game is so important when you want to transition into the later game, and he knows exactly when to put the pieces together.
And Tal'Darim Altar is a larger map compared to a lot of the earlier maps that were in StarCraft 2. So it does push that mid game importance quite a bit compared to a lot of the other maps.
Yeah, he's actually beaten ST several times on the ladder. I've witnessed it, and I know I mentioned that on Twitter once, and everyone was like, well, ST just tries stuff on the ladder. I don't know, he looked like he was playing pretty hard to me.
Yeah, the ladder is actually extremely important for the Koreans. It's where they get a majority of their practice, and you only face pro gamers when you're on the top part of the ladder.
Exactly. And it's really frustrating, too, if you're a foreigner over here. A lot of our team is, trying to get used to the Korean ladder. It's very, very difficult. It's very different. Even in the lower levels, in like Platinum League and Diamond League, it's really hard. It's, the Diamond League here is comparable to High Masters and some maybe even low Grandmasters. It's so difficult. And if you guys have played
to make
on
those
it,
comparisons,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It is difficult, but and part of the difficulty comes from you see things that you've never seen before.
Yep.
And there are a lot of players on the ladder here who just do one build, and that's all they know, but they know it so well that you hit them, you know what they're doing, you're just like, but they still can't stop him. So, yeah. It does get a little frustrating, but our team has kind of overcome that, and it's funny to sit behind me and look behind when I'm, my team's practicing and watch them hit Maka Prime and Polt Prime and stuff on the ladder, and then hit Nest-T. My MMR isn't quite that high on the Korean server, but everyone else on my team is, and they just hit those guys all the time.
And the important thing is you're hitting these guys with no ping, so it's beautiful practice every single time.
Exactly. No ping whatsoever. And the latency issue is obviously a big one, but we're glad to be here, able to practice on the Korean server. If you can play from NA to Korea and you don't have a lot of ping, I definitely recommend playing on this server if you can, if you've got the ability to do that. It's a great practice. Or come here to Korea, join a team.
Let us know if we can do anything to help you guys get out here.
Contact GOMTV. We're always looking for players to stay in the foreign house. So.
Tweet at John. He loves answering all the foreigners' tweets.
Yeah. Tweet at Trevor. What's your
my Twitter is Torch Gaming. You guys can ask me any questions you want. I'm not too active on Twitter, but I'll answer if you guys message me.
yeah, you can add me at FXO Wolf. Of course, GOMTV you can add, and John the translator is Junka, JUNKKA83.
Yep.
So you can follow him there as well.
83 is birthday. I'm going to release as many John facts as I can so you guys can spread them around, and I can poke him later at the office.
Exactly. I'm sure he'll love that you're telling him everything. All right, so the countdown has started. The map is loading.
Tal'Darim Alter.
Tal'Darim Alter, can Oz show his stuff here? It's his first televised match here at the GSTL Venus. Let's find out.